Hey, welcome to the Blind Boss Podcast. This is your boy J Ro. I just wanted to come in and spit some words to you. I have a few things I want to talk to y'all about today. I want to talk about what's really going on with our community. Like, it's certain things that we know that we can do better. And one of the things I want to talk about is, being one. But yeah, so let's talk about a few things. First of all, let's talk about our position as men, right? Our position as man is first we know that we got to provide for our family. This is just old school. This is, I'm an old school type of brother. So this is how I look at it. So thing number one is like, as men, we got to provide for our family. We got to protect our family, and we just got to be there. One of the things that I was sitting back and I was listening to just this morning was my boy Cam Newton. He sat up here, he was on a podcast, and he was talking about how he have 8 children with 3 baby mamas, and he's looking for more children. And I think that's cool, but I think that you can't just keep building houses, right? And not have a solidified home. And the thing is, as men, we got to be more willing to say, you know what, I might have certain desires, but at the end of the day, have that one woman that can fulfill all those desires. And I think that it comes down to being more mature and understanding that you can have every woman you want. But at the end of the day, how is that going to sit up here and build families? How is that going to make it in a way where your children have access to you? Because you can have all the money in the world. What's the difference between that and welfare for a female? A female get the money from welfare, but she don't have a man in that house that's going to help her and show her what it is to have a family dynamic. And the scary thing about that is you have a lot of children that is a part of a situation where they might get financial means from a dad. But what happens when you need that dad to be there? And that dad is sitting up here and have, 3 different households to be a part of. And we got to sit up here and look at the situation and realize that we have to stand in the gap as dads. Dads need to be able to make those tough decisions in life. And I think that if you're going to sit up here and be a man, I don't care if you make 100,000 or 100 million, be there for your children. And you can't be there and you can't break off every part of your body and be one part be in this home and another part be in that home and another part be in that home. No. Your children need to be with you, and you need to raise your children. Take the initiative and say, listen, these are my seeds. This is my woman that I decided to be with. Take that initiative. Don't just sit up here and be spreading your seed just to any and everyone, because at the end of the day, you doing that just shows your immaturity. You're not who you're supposed to be. You're a man. You got to be a man. And I don't care who it's for. I don't care what political party, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All that stuff, it's just garbage. Take the responsibility and be what you know you got to be. That's number one. Number 2 are females. With our females, we have some of the most smartest intellectual people in the world. Our black women are so smart and so, they have a way about them. They have that intuition that just makes them different from anybody else. And I think that what they have is something very special. But at the end of the day, if we decide to sit up here, let the females sit up here and just open their legs to just anybody, then what's the value? Like, you got to know that y'all need to be committed. And the same goes for the man. Y'all need to be committed. I'm not going to say the man is always right, and I'm not going to say the woman is always right. But everything starts at the top. And sometimes you have, a lot of males and females, they might come from a single parent home, or they might come from a 2-parent home. But if you come from a 2-parent home, you have more likely chances of succeeding in life. Because you don't seen, the man have to go through this, the woman have to go through that. Like, the perfect example of that is if there's, let's say a young boy that's being raised by a mother and a father, right? They can sit up here and they can say, well, my dad handled this situation like this. And they can sit up here and say, wow, look how my mother handled that. And they have a choice to say, oh, you know what? Maybe this what I would do that can change this narrative. Because, you have 2 different perspectives to live on and to see. And I think that when you have that opportunity to learn from both, that's what develops character. Like for me, myself, I wasn't raised with a father in my life. But at the end of the day, I knew within myself that something was wrong with my situation. And I saw where I was in need of my dad. We cool now, we don't reconnect or whatever. But having that strong male presence can prevent you from having a lot of issues down the line. But I think that the mother is so significant, because I'm going to be honest with you. When I first got married to my wife, I never thought that I can trust women by some of the things that my mother did. I never thought I can trust women. But my wife, who was a godly woman with all her beautiful femininity, was like, I don't care what you go through. I got you. And I told my wife, I say, listen, I don't care what we ever go through. You're always going to be my one and my only. It takes commitment to sit up here and push all those other things to the side. And guess what? It's nothing stopping anybody from having that commitment. But we just got to stop and think, how are you affecting your lineage? How are you affecting your children by not being there? So I done touched on the man, how we got to man up and do what we need to do and stop sitting up here just trying to be players, trying to be pimps. And I'm going to touch on why the women, y'all can't just be so loose and just give it up to anybody if they're not willing to commit. And they don't got to be a superstar. They could be a good dude that got a job. Even if that guy got a job and he can move up in his company and he got the potential, why not go for that, brother? Everything that glitter really ain't gold. And you can literally have a diamond in the rough. So don't sit up here and disrespect small beginnings because things get bigger and better as time go along. Trust me, I understand that. Me and my wife, we started out, like the first 2 days, it's funny. We started out, I was living with my mother-in-law, her mother during the time. And I realized that, I was still on my way to finding a good job. And you know what? She was like, I got you. Because she saw the potential. She saw the value. So it's important for each of us to see the value in one another. But it comes down to knowing that you got somebody that's going to be down for you. And you're going to be down with them. And you're not going to just betray their trust. We need each other. How hard is that to understand? Most coaches know outside of the United States that they need each other. But yet we sit up here and we act like we don't need one another. What's wrong with us? Get off your high horse. Humble yourself. Understand that as a man, I need my wife. And as a female, she needs her husband. At the end of the day, we got to come together and think. Because the only thing it's doing is tearing us apart. Whether it's the music you listening to, whether it's the bad energy, the bad vibrations, whatever you want to call it. Like, why do we think it's okay not to be one with your spouse? Why is that? It's nothing cool about it. It's nothing cool with having children, having a one-parent household. Ain't nothing cool about that. And money's not everything, like I touched on. You could have $100 million or $100,000 as a parent. And if you're not there, that child's going to be like, yeah, well, you gave me this. But what about the time I needed you? Or when I went through this issue? Or I didn't have no wise adult to tell me, to avoid this pothole or avoid that pothole, this road we call life. Come on, man. We got to do better. 3, togetherness. When we're together, we're so much stronger than apart. Because you know what? Even if a man and a woman have a tough time and the children see it and they work through it, they realize that not all relationships are going to be perfect, but at the end of the day, they're worth it. Relationships were never designed to be perfect, but it's companionship, it's communication, it's love. Tell you something that's pretty funny. Me and my wife been together for almost over 20 years now. And the funny thing about it is, when I got to go get up and pee at night, not even 2 minutes later, she's getting up and pee. It's funny, like the other day, my leg was hurting for some odd reason. My legs never hurt, I don't know what happened. But I said, hey, baby, man, my leg hurt. And it was my left leg. It was so funny. She says, all of a sudden, well, you know what? My right leg is hurting. And I was like, wow, so we're so in tuned that our body is just feeding off one another, but every step of the way, even before I went blind, like we had an agreement that we got to climb this ladder to success. And the ladder to success for me included, well, I go out there and I make the bread. You stay home and you take care of our children. So they have that influence of knowing who they are. All 3 of my children are homeschooled. So it's important that they know who they are and you ain't letting nobody raise your kids that don't have the best interest for your kids. See, we got to get back to basics. And the thing is, anything that I know and anything that I learn as a father, I pass it down to my children so they know. Anything that my wife learned in her career and what she's doing, she invested in the children. And then they have their own thing. So it comes down to sit up here and being one, but also invest in what you have into your children so they grow to be successful adults. And then when you sit up here and you breed successful adults, then you know what you start to have? A community. And that's what I want to talk about, number 4. When you are a community, then you can actually love your neighbor as you love yourself. You can sit up here and see what your neighbor has. You ain't got to be envious of it because you know what? They got what they got. You got what you got. And at the end of the day, we got to love one another. We got to build one another. We got to help one another. You see your brother falling, you see him slip. Hey, man, what you going through? You ain't got to judge them. Say, hey, man, listen, I got your back. I'm going to help you. But if they doing wrong, say, hey, man, you can do better than that. And you got to call out stuff. And let me be honest with you. Sometimes it's painful to hear it, but shaming is good. We got in the situation and with this society that we think that like shaming people is a bad thing. No, you know what you got to do. So like I said, I'm going to call out these deadbeat mamas. I'm gonna call out these deadbeat dads. I'm gonna call out the media that don't want to sit up here and endorse being one, because everywhere else in every other nation, they down with being one with their people. They down with being man, woman, child. But yet we think it's okay in the United States because everybody's so liberal and they want to be like, oh well, we don't need each other. Baloney. Get it together. Get with somebody. Be one with somebody. Love your wife. All this other stuff. Oh, well, I got this side man and I got this side man. Baloney. Stop it. It's foolishness. Only thing you're doing is setting yourself up for destruction down the way, because you're going to be tossed away like trash. And this goes out to the young girls. If you sit up here and you know that there's your older sister or your mom doing debaucherous stuff, you ain't got to be a part of it. You ain't got to be a part of it, because you know what? You can honestly look back at yourself and say, you know what? Something don't look right here. You can do it. Same as for myself. I saw how my mom, when she was young, some horrible things I done witnessed. I knew when I was 6 or 7, hey, something is not right here. I remember when I was 6 or 7 years old, I grew up like extremely poor. But I realized that even at the age of 6 and 7, when there was roaches crawling all up on me and I was sleeping on a hard freaking cement floor, I knew something was wrong. I wanted better. So guess what? Every situation in your life, know that you can get better, but do it the right way. This is your boy J-Ro from the Blind Boss Podcast. I want to say I love you and I thank you so much for your listening ears, man. And I also want to tell you to like, share, and subscribe. I got so many other things going on, but I want to let you know how much I appreciate you and I value your time. Much love. Peace.